As mentioned a while ago, before I let you go for lunch today, stay with me all the time. We are going to identify or classify the states of matter, and you heard me using the word state, by looking at the arrangement of what we call atoms. Now, when I use the word state, S-T-A-T-E, I'm not thinking of the 50 states of the United States. Sorry, 50 states of the United States. Hawaii, Alaska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Virginia, California. No, not at all. So I'm using the word state in a different discipline or subject, which is science. And you probably heard me quite a few times. Aside from saying kinds or types, I started using state. I'm going to use it very frequently today. Simply, when the word state is used in matter, which we know, which is anything that occupies space and has weight, anything that has volume, anything that has mass or weight, which we observed during the first week of school. We are now in the third week. Is matter, and they are of three different states or times. We have the solid, the liquid, and gas. In fact, there is another one which we are not going to focus in detail. But when you do search online or read book, you will hear, you will see the word plasma. But in this mini lesson, we are going to limit our attention to the three only: the solid, liquid, and gas. FYI, a plasma is anything that has a very high energy. Let me give you an example. Sun, S-U-N, and other stars in the outer space. I'm looking at the ceiling, the fluorescent lamp, the lights that makes this room bright. They're very powerful, and it is made up of what we call a plasma. Sounds like a plasma TV, but it isn't. Alright? So, actually there are four, but we are going to limit our lesson and your project using your clay, which I'm going to show you after this lesson. We're going to look at the solid, liquid, and gas only at this point in time. All right, so I need you to focus your attention and then pin me. Ouch. So I am signed in, I believe, 4 devices. There's only one in action, and I need you to make the screen bigger and you can see what I'm doing. Remember, I said, which I think it is true, anything that we hear, we may forget. So anything that we see, we can remember. Anything that we actually do, we understand. So, by simply listening to me and plus include observation, you should be able to remember. So this is why, please watch me. I'm going to refocus the camera. I already grabbed the tray, which I will lay down all the materials I'll be using to teach you the lesson today. It's right in front of me. Okay. Again, listening, simply listening, you won't forget this. But if you, by looking at me at the same time, what am I doing, you have a better catch of the lesson. You should be able to remember. Now, let me focus. Everybody, please. Let me focus myself. Let me pin myself as well. Again, I need to see. Excellent. Alright, let's do a bit of recall from our previous lesson. Alright, in our previous lesson, we've learned that matter comes in 3 different forms. The solid, wherein the particles are very close to each other. These dots, of course, are the particles. And they are very close, and you will see they are like soldiers, and they are neatly arranged. In reality, If you think my fist as the particles, these particles are very close. And they're not steady, meaning to say they are not a statue that does not move. In fact, they move. They move a bit, and you see my hand, they just vibrate. Kind of like your phone in a vibration mode. If you don't want anybody to be disturbed by the ring of your phone, what do? But you want to know that there is an incoming call. What I do is that I put the vibrate mode, and I can feel the vibration. The tiny particles that make up solid, they move. They move just by jiggling. That's kind of like they jiggle or they vibrate in place. They're not like a statue that doesn't move. They do move. We can't feel it because it is extremely small, because they are very microscopic. Okay, so looking at the diagram once again, the particles are very close. The second is the liquid, which we have seen multiple times. All right, you even made drawings of this in your science notebook. In liquid, the particles are a bit farther apart, and if you put it in a container or in a jar, they settle to the bottom because they are fluid or liquid. As compared to a solid, the particles of liquid are a bit far apart. Please be with me. You can see my two fists. This is solid and they vibrate. And for liquid, they are a bit far apart and they move even more. You probably heard that. Okay, hold on. They move a bit more, and in fact they slide next to each other. Kind of like the wave in the ocean. Just think about the waves in the ocean. They move. They slide one next to each other. Unlike in solid, they're very close. They just vibrate in place. Let me talk to you face to face. How are we doing so far? Tell me. This is a 5. 5, I know it so well. I can teach anybody. 4, I got it. 3, need more example, teacher. 2, I'm almost lost. And 1, I can understand. Show me your number of understanding at this point before we move on to the next step. If you haven't shown me your level of understanding, please, Susanna. People who responded, they are Carlos, Emily, Natalia, Stephanie, Christopher, Maria, Lupe, Jessie, Genesis, Brianna, Andrea. I'm missing some few more people. If you haven't responded, letting me know how is your understanding at this point in time. Okay, it's not too late. Hopefully you were listening. Okay, hopefully, a while ago. If you haven't, please pay close attention. Moving on. The third one is, of course, not forget the gas particles. In the gas particles, we see that the particles are everywhere, and they can actually exert pressure against the wall of a container. For instance, a balloon. Now, if we compare this with the other two, the gas particles are even far apart and they move excessively. They are very active, and they even collide, okay, or bump against each other. You see my two fists bumping against each other and they're moving faster than the solid, and even I'm sorry, down the liquid, that's a liquid, sorry, down the liquid, and even more the solid, the movement is really, really, really small. They just vibrate in place. Like they jiggle, just like a jello. They jiggle. Okay. Now, let's look at this in a different manner. Okay. But when I say a different manner, we're going just to take one state of matter. Let's say a liquid. Right? I'm going to use the liquid only. A classic example is water. Water exists in three different states. Can exist, of course, ice when it is frozen. It's solid ice, and we saw it, you know it. Our other experiment, I think that was during the second week, we melted ice by placing the ice in a glass and put it on a plate, meaning the hot plate. And we saw it started warming up till it's almost boiling. As compared to the liquid water that we placed on the glass, in the glass, and put it on the plate, meaning the hot plate, and we saw that it started to bubble up faster than the ice that has melted into liquid, and then eventually, lo and behold, all of a sudden, we see the steam, which is the gas, because the temperature that we saw in the thermometer is reaching as high as 100 degrees Celsius, which is a temperature when liquid water begins boiling. And that is when we see steam, gas, and that is a process of evaporation, which we are going to think more in depth, evaporation and other changes in matter, in our next lesson. Now, meanwhile, as I said, we're going to look at this liquid water in a different manner. Let me grab one example. Okay, so it's right under right next to it. Okay, right there. So once again, I need you to really pay close attention because I will be using the word molecule again. Alright, this time I'll be using it very frequently. Everybody please, including Andrea, Brianna, and the rest, please put the word molecule in the room. Everybody, molecule. Type in the word molecule. Natalia did it. Excellent. Please put the word, Brianna did it. A word that we are going to focus on and make certain that you know by simply putting the word in the room. If you don't know the word that I asked, then you look at the chat room and you will see your classmates have begun typing the last person's charisma. If you haven't put the word molecule in the room, please do so now. Molecule. Molecule. Alright? So I do have Natalia, Christopher, Brianna, Vincent, Jesse, Jose, Andrea, Charisma, Maria. I wonder what about the other 7 or 10 people in this class. Still missing their name. Please make certain you write the word molecules. Let me see what they are doing. Now, excellent. So please, I see them in the room. Please put the word molecule. Alright. Excellent. Alright, it's our word, one of the words of the day. Alright. I'm going to use a model, an example of a molecule of a liquid water. Okay. So here is a molecule of a liquid water. Doesn't matter whether this way, this way or the other way. That's it. The meeting hopefully it's because of internet connectivity. Hopefully he returns. What matters most is what makes up this molecule. Keep in mind that the molecule is very small. The water in the tank, the water that makes up an ice, frozen water, and the water that escapes when the water starts boiling, the steam, is made up of water molecule. And each water molecule is made up of even tinier parts, and we are going to call it atom. A-T-O-M. We have used the word atom multiple times. Today we're going to use it together with the word molecule. Alright, now, everyone, you're looking at, again, this is a water molecule. And I'm going to put a label. This is a water molecule. The water molecule is composed of 3 atoms. In this example, I have a black and yellow, which is 2. And you will see that this black atom is connected to the yellow, as well as this yellow connected to the one black by means of a small wood. Right? This is a model. An example of a very small part that makes us understand by looking at on a bigger scale. If we're going to look at the parts, a molecule of water is made up of a hydrogen atom, there is also another hydrogen atom. There are 2 hydrogen atoms in a water molecule. And this molecule will not be water without oxygen. The black in this example is oxygen. The entire model is a molecule. Let's back up. Could you tell me in the chat how many atoms of hydrogen does the water molecule have? Put the number in the chat. Excellent. 2. Everybody please put the 2 in the room. Water has 2 hydrogen atoms, and there's only 1 oxygen atom, and each of them are attached to the molecule to oxygen by means of this wood. Right now, in reality, this is a force of attraction. Could you type the word force in the chat? Do it now. F-O-R-C-E. Thank you, Christopher Jesse. Put the word force. Guadalupe. Everybody please. Natalia, Brianna, Lovely. If you have not said the word force, please do so now. Everybody please. It's not too late to participate. The word force. Force of attraction. Excellent. Let me give you a true-to-life example. So, actually the force is makes the 2 atoms attracted to one another. I can call it force of attraction. Isn't it? When we are attracted to something, our tendency is to go closer. Let's say, for instance, you are at the mall and you have these shoes that you have been wanting to get, to have, which is your Nike shoes, whatnot. And then you are at the mall and you saw the shoe shop and you saw the shoes that you really wanted to buy. If I'm that person, my tendency, and I have time, my tendency is to get attracted and get closer. It's just a true to life situation. Oh, your computer died. Or error. But I'm glad that you're back. The exciting it's connected to power icon. My computers are all connected now. As long as there is no power interruption. Anyway, the battery should be charged. Or should be charged. Alright? So catch up everyone. I'm recording this lesson. So you can, once I put it in the chat, in the Google Classroom, you can watch what you missed. Okay. Now, attraction is when something is clinging to something. Alright? So my example, when I see the shoes that I really love to have, buy in the future, and I saw my tendency is so remember imposing how the issue occurs. So in case of the water molecule, they are attracted to each other. So these two hydrogen molecules are attracted to liquid, to oxygen. Okay, my mistake. So this little tiny word represents the force of attraction. We'll say, can that force be taken away or broken apart? The answer is yes. When you start boiling water, when the force of attraction will become a big liquid, it will start separating. That's why you see the water moving faster. And then eventually, it will fly away. It will turn into a gas. And they become stronger once again. They can. You decrease the temperature, you put it in the fridge, then it's slowly flat. Then it becomes ice. It will become so attractive. We're going to have a lesson on this the next few days. Alright? Now, let me get this lesson, remember this is looking at me what I'm doing. So we have the word oxygen and hydrogen in the start of the lesson today. Now this kind of thing circles would make sense to you. So, what are these circles? So everything you see has a purpose in this. Right. So let me finish. We're looking at the water molecule. It's magical. So this small, this circle colored blue represents when simplified, make it easier by simply using the capital letter H. This means this is another hydrogen atom. You see that same color. The color here matters because these are the same color. In water molecule, there are two hydrogen atoms. This will not become water without the other atom. It will become the glass. So this example is that meaning to say this is a different atom. Or I will make another method, which we are going to use also later in time, atom element. So when this hydrogen atom combined with one oxygen atom together because of a force of attraction, then this will become water molecule. how you innumerable. There's a lot. There is tremendously uncountable. Even in a drop of water, a drop, even a teardrop, for example. So the water in a teardrop or in a drop of water or a raindrop, it's not just one, it's millions to trillions. Thinking of the ocean, how many molecules of water does Pacific Indian Ocean have? Oh, whew. Remember, we're looking and thinking at this molecule as microscopic. Okay? So, no matter what, whether it is an ice, frozen water, liquid water that we drink, or steam when we boil. Yes, this is what it is made up of. Okay, so this is water molecule using this magnet. This is a water molecule using this circular wooden structure with pegs or small sorry. I'm scratching my nose. And this is showing the force of attraction. Okay? How are we doing so far? Tell me once again your level of understanding. 5 and know it so well, I can even delineate. 4, got it. 3, teacher need more example. 2, my body is spinning. And 1, I'm lost. I'm just beginning. Okay, do it now. Tell me your level of understanding, Natalia, Maria, Emily. Please let me know. Okay, so people who responded to my request to tell me how is your understanding, there are Natalia, Lupe, Jessie, Stephanie, Maria, Brianna, Emily, Andrea, Brianna, Limon, Genesis, Christopher, Denise, Carlos. Looks like a bit more than before, and I'm still missing a few. If you haven't responded, please do so now. And wow, everybody is full. We can move on. Alright? Hopefully the rest who did not respond paying attention and getting the point. Alright, now if you did not get the point because you did not respond, here's what everybody should do. I'm going to have you watch a short video clip. It's under 5 minutes. Please do watch this. This video is already in the Google Classroom, but I'm going to put it in the chat room. So please pay close attention. Remember, when we hear, we may forget. I've been mentioning too many words today. You probably, I forgot. But if you were looking at my example, I'm pretty sure you'll remember. So when you watch this video, please, okay, watch carefully, especially when we start working on the project day, when you're actually doing it. I'm pretty sure you will definitely, I definitely understand. I'm confident now, extremely. I can ace the examination for this exam. I will be posting the video clip in the comment box. Please do watch the video. Alright, let me stop recording now. Stop recording.